So hello friends, today we will show you top 15 commands in Kubernetes. So I will run this command in our session and I will show you like what are the output of this command, and we are using here Azure AKS cluster. So I will show you how to connect our Azure AKS cluster from our local machine. So this is our AKS cluster. So we have to go it here and connect. So before to connect, you have to do for AG login. So I am here, we are using the virtual machines. I have created the one virtual machines as a jump box, and I have connect through the putty session. So you have to copy this IP. Now I have connected over my virtual machines, like it's like a jump box. So I'm just increasing the font size. So before to connect the AKS cluster, first we have to log in through AG login. We have to authenticate ourselves with our credential. Now you have to put this HTTP URL into your browser, and you have to put the code once you get a second pop-up. So you have to put this code here. So use which credential you are using, you have to select those one. Now it's connected, you have to sign on. You have to get this output when you have successful sign on. So now you have to authenticate yourself in this virtual machine. You have to do first AZ login, and then you will get this output. Now you have to go to the AKS cluster. So this is our AKS cluster. You have to go to connect. You have to run this command AZ account set. Copy and paste. Now this subscription has been set. Now we have to go run this command AKS get credential resource group name, what is your cluster name. So you have to run this command. Now we have to run this command kubectl get node. So now you can see it here, you have connected your cluster. This is your worker node. What is the status of this worker node? You can see it here. So now go to PPT. So what is the first command? So first command is kubectl cluster info. Kubectl cluster info. So it will give the result of your cluster detail, like which cluster you have connected right now. Generally in the production environment we have 20, 30 plus, 50 plus cluster. So before to do anything changing in the cluster, you have to run this command kubectl cluster info. So it will give details of the cluster which you are connected. So if you are doing some activity like you have to do a deployment of the pod on any of the cluster, so before to do any changes, any deployment, you have to first validate you are to connect with the right cluster. Okay, so for this we are using this kubectl cluster info. So you have to run this command kubectl cluster info. You will get the current cluster which is running, like this is the cluster name AKS prod base US 01 DNS. So in this way you have to validate which cluster you have to connect, and if any activity you have to do any changes in the cluster, you have to deploy any pod, you have to create any secrets, config mag, stateful set file. So before to do anything, you have to first validate you are connect with the right cluster. Okay, now go to the second command. So this is the kubectl get node. Kubectl get node. So it will show the list of all the worker node which is running over this cluster. This is our cluster, and how many worker node is running over this cluster, you will get the list of all the worker node. So here we are only worker node. Generally in the environment we have 5 worker node, 10 worker node as per the load, as per the requirement. So here we are using the test lab, so we have only one worker node, so that's why it is showing only one worker node. So in environment you will get the lot of worker node, 5 node, 10 node, 50 node, 20 worker node in a cluster. So the purpose of this command kubectl get node, it will show the list of all the worker node. Okay, then go to the second command, kubectl get port -a. kubectl get port -a. So it will show the list of all the pod which is running in the cluster. Generally in a cluster we have multiple namespace, like development namespace, monitoring namespace, operation namespace, production namespace. So if you want to see the list of all the pod is running over the cluster, then you have to run this command kubectl get pod -a. So it will show the list of all the pod which is running over the cluster. You can see it here, the namespace. In this cluster we have one cattle session namespace, one is default namespace, another one is cube system namespace, another one nginx namespace, another one is tomcat, ubuntu, velero. So there is multiple namespace running over this cluster. So if you want to get the list of all the pod which is running over the cluster, then you have to run this command kubectl get pod -a. So then you can get the status of the pod, what is the status of the pod, how many times they have restarted, what are the status. Some pods are image pullback of error, some are pod having crash loop backup state, some pod are having pending state. So those things you will get the idea what are the status of the pod inside your cluster. So it will be helpful to get the details, what type of pod is running, what are the status of the pod. So you don't need to go one by one in the namespace. You have to run this command kubectl get pod -a. It will show the list of all the pod which is running inside the cluster. Okay, so generally in the environment we have 20 plus or 50 plus 70 plus application running inside the cluster. So you will get the long list of the application with the status ready and the status restart, what are the age, what are age of the pod, how many, like this pod is created how long time, like 1 year, 6 months, 1 month. So you will get the idea about the age of the pod and the status ready, what are the name of pod and which namespace this pod is running. And the fourth command is kubectl get node -0 wide. Kubectl get node -o wide. So in this command you will get the detail of the worker node. Like earlier when you ran kubectl get node, it will show only the status of the node, what is the status and what are the version of the node and how long it will be created, what are the age of the worker node and roles agent. So once you run this command kubectl get node, you get only these details. But when you run this command kubectl get -o wide, you will get a lot of details, like what are the IP of this worker node, what are the OS, which OS image they are using with this worker node, what are the kernel version, which container runtime they are using. So we are using the container D as a runtime here. So these detail we can, like if person asks like what are the IP of this worker node, so how do we get those details? So you have to run this command kubectl get node -o void, then you will get the IP of worker node. So this is very helpful command to get the list of all the worker node with all details like internal IP, what are the IP of worker node, which OS they are using, what are the kernel version, and what are the which container runtime they are using. So the purpose of this command is this one, to get more details about the worker node. Now go to another command, kubectl get pod -o wide. Kubectl get pod -o wide. So in this command they are giving the IP of the pod, and this pod is running on which worker node, that we will get the details, and what are the, when you run this command kubectl get pod, it will just give the list of pod which is running, like my first pod name running, and it is not give the detail of this one IP, node name, and the readiness, and the nominated node. So the purpose of this command to get the list of the pod which is running over the which worker node. Generally in our case we have 5 worker node. I want to know this pod, my first pod running on which worker node. So how do we get this result? Suppose if you are attending any interview in the Kubernetes and they want to ask you, I want to know which this pod is running on which worker node, what are the command? So you have to tell them we have to run this command kubectl get pod -o wide. When we run this command, it will give the result of this, like where this pod is running over this worker node. So here we have only one worker node, so all the pod are running over this one worker node. But generally in the production environment, we have multiple worker node like VMS 0, VMS 01, 02, 04, 05. Then you will get the details about this my pod. This is my pod running over this which worker node. So in this way you can get the detail. This is the purpose of this command kubectl get pod -o wide. So in this way you can get more idea about the pod and the node, and pod is running over the which worker node, and what are the IP of the pod. You will get those details with this command kubectl get pod -o wide. So you can see it here in the below command. When we ran this kubectl get pod, it will show only the pod list and what are the status of the pod. But here when we run this command kubectl get pod -o wide, so it will give the result of all the, it will give this below output. Here it will give the details of the IP address and what are the worker node which this pod is running over, the which worker node, that we will get the details on this command. Now we have to go this 6 command kubectl get ns. So kubectl get ns, we will get the namespace list kubectl get ns. So I will get the list of all the namespace which is running over this cluster. So this is our namespace. Generally in the environment we have created the multiple namespace as per the requirement, and over the namespace we have deployed multiple pod, multiple container, multiple application over there over the namespace. Okay, so this is the command kubectl get ns. It will show the list of all the namespace which is running over the cluster and what are the age, how long it will be created, like 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. So that detail we will get this output over this command kubectl get ns. So ns is the namespace. Over the namespace we have deployed multiple pod, container, and service, config my deployment file, persistent volume. So all the objects we have created in a single namespace. So it's easy to manage, easy to handle, easy to provide the access over the namespace, because generally in the project there are multiple teams working over the cluster. So inside the cluster we have created multiple namespace for operation. We have created the namespace for development. We have created namespace for production, for quality, for test. So we have created multiple namespace, and we have to manage the application over the namespace, and we have provide the permission as per the requirement. Like if we have development team, so we have to provide the permission only over the development namespace. So we will get the list of the namespace detail over this command kubectl get ns. Then this is the output. Kubectl get all hyphen n namespace. So I want to check what all resource running over this namespace. So this is the namespace. I want to check what all resource kubectl get all hyphen n namespace. So it will list all the resource which is running over this namespace. So in this namespace we have running there, two pod is running over this namespace. One service we have created as a load balancer service. What are the IP? So we have to check kubectl get all hyphen namespace. So in this command kubectl get all hyphen n, first we have to check which namespace running over this cluster. So kubectl get ns. So this is the list of namespace which is running over the cluster, which is created over the cluster. So I want to check the resource of this namespace. Kubectl get pod hyphen n tomcat. So you will get the list of the pod which is running inside this namespace. So you can see the status of the pod and what are the age of the pod, how many times this pod is restarted. So you will get the idea about which type of resource running over this namespace. If you run this command kubectl get svc, svc is a short form of service. So I want to check about how many types of service are running over this namespace. So you have to run kubectl get service hyphen n tomcat. As you can see it here, we have one service is running over this namespace. What is the type of service? So generally we have three type of service. One is cluster IP, second is node port, third one is load balancer. So I have created one load balancer service IP here. So you can get the details of the service, type of service, which type of service I am using here. What is the external IP of the service, which port this application is working, and this port is exposed on which port. So we have to get the detail of this service. So I want to check other namespace. I am going to check the pod status on another namespace is nginx. So I can get the detail of this pod of this nginx namespace. Earlier I was checking on the tomcat namespace. Now I am going to check on the nginx namespace. So inside this namespace we have multiple pods running, and you can see it here, the status of image pullback of here. So I will show you in the next session how to fix the issue with this image pullback of error. What is the reason why this pod is going to stuck in image pullback of error? What are the command to check? What are the troubleshooting command? That I will show you in the separate session. And how do we fix the issue? The main thing is how to fix the issue of this image pullback of error. So generally when you attend any interview in the Kubernetes, the interview asks you about the scenario based question or issue based question. So they ask you if one of the pod is getting image pullback of error, then how do you fix the issue? So we have multiple way. We have 8 to 10 reason why this pod is stuck in image pullback of error and how to fix the issue. So this thing we will discuss in later, and you can ping me if you need any help on this. If you need more detail, I will add my WhatsApp number in my description box, so you can ping me to get more details about this session. So I am planning to add 20 plus troubleshooting command in the next session, and I will show you in the live troubleshooting, like some pod are image pullback of error, some pod are in crash loop back of state, some pod are in pending state. So there are a lot of issues I have noted down in our session in our PPT. So you can see it here. So this is the PPT I have. So you can get 40 plus. I have noted down all the issue list in our session. We are having 40 plus issue list. Pod are stuck in terminating state, PVC and pending state, pod are stuck in terminating state, how to push image from worker node to SCR repo. So we have a lot of issue list. So that thing we will discuss in later, how to fix the issue, what is the reason. So this is generally the real time issue discussion. So right now we are just covering the top 15 commands in Kubernetes. So right now we have only discussed 7 to 8 command, and in the next session we can discuss about this list of the command, like the in the next session we have discussed list of the command. So now we are showing you what all the details in this namespace. So here we are just getting the details of the name, like I want to check the which pod is running over the namespace, I want to check which service is running over the namespace. Now I want to check all the resource running over the namespace. What are the command? So kubectl get all -n nginx. So this all command we will get the list of all the resource which is running over this namespace. So you can see it here in the one shot of command. We can get all the list of pod. So we have multiple pod running. One pod name is dev pod, another pod is monitor pod, another service this pod is this service is related to dev pod, this service is related to monitor pod. So what are the type of service? You can see it here. So this is the deployment file of the pod, this is the deployment file of another pod. So I want to check the list of persistent volume. So kubectl get pvc-n nginx. So you will get the output of the persistent volume which is running over this namespace. So generally currently I have only one persistent volume, but generally in the production environment you have 50 plus persistent volume. So you will get the list of all the persistent volumes, and you can check the status of persistent volume. Okay, because sometimes the persistent volume is stuck in pending state. Okay, so how do we fix the issue? If persistent volume is stuck in pending state, it is not showing online. So how do we fix the issue? What is the reason why it is stuck in pending state? So those things we will discuss in later, but right now we are just covering the top 15 command of the Kubernetes. So here we have to check check the status of the persistent volume. So generally in the environment I will show you. So generally in the environment I will get the list of this persistent volume. So when you run this command kubectl get pvc, you will see the result pending. So you will get the idea about the status of persistent volumes in a particular namespace, and what is the status and how do we fix the issue. So those things we will discuss in later. So now, so here we have to check the status of persistent volumes. Here we have checked the status of persistent volume claim. Now I'm going to check the status of persistent volumes. So here we are using 3 persistent volume. One is capacity 2 GB, 1 GB, 1 GB, and we can discuss detail what is reclaim policy, what is the storage, what is the storage class, what is the storage class binding. So those things we will discuss in later. So here we have to just covering the top 15 command. So I have to cover more of them in this session, like kubectl cluster info, kubectl get node, kubectl get pod, kubectl get node, kubectl get pod hyphen override, kubectl get ns, kubectl get all hyphen n namespace, kubectl get all hyphen n tomcat. So I can see it here. There are two pod is running, one is service, another is deployment, second replica set. I want to check the kubectl get all hyphen n and nginx. So this is the result. So when we run this get all command, so it will list all the resource which is running over this namespace. Okay, so the purpose of this command to check the how many resources are running over this particular namespace, we can check it here. So generally here we have only 2 applications, but in the production environment you have 20 plus applications. So you will get the list of all the 20 plus applications, the pod status, deployment files, service, replica set. So here we have set up the Veloro server. So Veloro is a tool for backup and restoration. So I want to check the status of backup pod. So we have to run this command kubectl get all hyphen n Veloro. So you can go through my playlist and you can see here, like I have uploaded publicly, and what is how to set up the Veloro server over the cluster, and how to take the backup of the pod, how to take the backup on the namespace level, and how to restore the from the backup. So suppose you accidentally you have deleted the namespace or you have deleted the pod, so how do we restore it from the backup? So that thing I have covered in my session, and you can go through it and you can watch it. So here I can show you kubectl get all hyphen n Veloro. So this is the, it will show the list of all the resource which is running over this Veloro namespace. Okay, so this is the command to what is the purpose of the I have shown you in the live session of all the command, and what is the kubectl cluster info, what is the output of this command, kubectl get node, kubectl get pod hyphen a, kubectl get node hyphen o wide. So it will give the detail of the node of the IP address and the container runtime, and kubectl get pod hyphen o wide. So it will give the result of with this pod is running over the on a particular worker node. So those things we will get the I have already shown you in our session what is the output of this command. So you have to note it down and you have to make a note of with all the output when we run this command, what are the output. Then it will be good to do the practice. So yeah, so for now I am just closing this session. In the next session I will discuss of rest of the command. So this is the rest of the command kubectl get pod hyphen ns. So I will show you in the next session. For now we are just wrap up this call. So thanks for watching. Yeah.